He thought his wife betrayed him, but the truth was unimaginable. At exactly midnight, a phone vibrated on the bedside table. Aisha was sleeping peacefully, but the sound woke her husband, Karim. He tried to ignore it until he noticed the message glowing on her screen. It was from Idriss, his childhood best friend. The message read, "I can't keep lying to him. We need to tell him everything." Karim's heart almost stopped. For several weeks, Aisha had been acting strangely. She frequently came home late, protected her phone and found excuses to leave the apartment. Whenever Karim questioned her, she said she was preparing a surprise for him. He had wanted to believe her. They had been married for 6 years. They had built their life together from almost nothing. Karim worked in a modest automobile repair shop while Aisha sold clothing online. They were not wealthy, but their home had always been filled with love. Idriss was more than Karim's best friend. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, shared meals and supported each other through their most difficult moments. Idriss had even stood beside Karim as his best man on his wedding day. But now, one mysterious message threatened to destroy everything. Karim carefully picked up Aisha's phone and entered the date of their wedding. The code was incorrect. Aisha had changed it. The following morning, Karim said nothing. He ate breakfast, kissed his wife goodbye and left the apartment as if everything were normal. But instead of going to work, he parked his car a short distance from their building and waited. Around noon, Aisha emerged wearing the beautiful red dress Karim had given her for their anniversary. She looked around cautiously before entering a taxi. Karim followed her. After driving through the busy city for 20 minutes, the taxi stopped in front of a luxurious hotel. Karim parked across the street. Then he saw Idriss waiting near the entrance. Aisha smiled when she saw him. They briefly embraced before entering the hotel together. Karim remained frozen behind the steering wheel. Part of him wanted to follow them and demand an explanation. Another part wanted to see exactly how far their betrayal would go. He waited for 3 painful hours. When Aisha and Idriss finally left the hotel, they looked nervous. Idriss handed Aisha a large envelope, which she pressed against her chest before entering another taxi. Karim watched in silence, his anger growing stronger. That evening, while Aisha was taking a shower, Karim searched through her handbag and found the envelope. Inside were several bank documents, property papers and a photograph of Aisha standing beside Idriss. Karim turned the photograph over. A short message had been written on the back. Just a few more days, and Karim will finally discover everything. Karim quickly returned the documents when he heard the shower stop. He could no longer think clearly. Why was there a house involved? Why had Idriss given her those documents? What were they planning behind his back? The following day, Idriss visited Karim at the garage. Karim stared coldly at his lifelong friend and asked, "Are you sleeping with my wife?" Idriss became pale. "What? Of course not. I saw you together. I watched you enter a hotel with her. I read your message. Don't lie to me." Idriss lowered his head. "I can't explain everything yet." Overwhelmed by rage, Karim punched him. Idriss fell against a car, but he refused to fight back. "You were my brother," Karim shouted. "Out of every woman in this city, you chose my wife." Wiping blood from his lip, Idriss looked directly into Karim's eyes. "You're wrong. But if I tell you the truth now, I could destroy everything." That answer only made Karim more suspicious. When Karim returned home, Aisha was waiting for him in the living room. "Idriss called me," she said. "You hit him." Karim threw the photograph and documents onto the table. "Then explain this. Explain the hotel, the secret messages in this house." Tears appeared in Aisha's eyes. "I wanted to tell you when the time was right. How long have you been betraying me?" "I have never betrayed you." Karim laughed bitterly. "Do you really expect me to believe that?" Aisha tried to approach him, but Karim stepped away. "Don't touch me. Pack your things and leave." Aisha stared at him for several seconds. She then removed her wedding ring and placed it on the table. One day, When you discover the truth, remember that you chose anger before giving me the chance to speak." That night, Aisha packed a small suitcase and left. Karim ignored her calls and blocked Idriss's number. He told his relatives and friends that Aisha had betrayed him with his best friend. Within hours, the accusation spread across social media. People insulted Aisha without hearing her side of the story. Customers stopped purchasing from her clothing business. Even members of her family demanded an explanation. But Aisha remained silent. 1 week later, Karim received a call while working at the garage. "Mr. Karim, your wife has collapsed. She is currently at the hospital." Despite his anger, Karim immediately dropped his tools and drove there. When he reached Aisha's room, Idriss was waiting outside. His eyes were red, and he held a medical folder in his hands. "What are you doing here?" Karim demanded. Idriss looked at him sadly. "It's time for you to know the truth." He handed Karim the folder. Karim opened it, and his entire world collapsed. Aisha had a severe heart condition. Without an urgent operation, she had only a few months to live. "She has known for almost a year," Idriss explained. "She didn't tell you because she knew you would sell your garage to pay for her surgery. She didn't want you to lose your dream." Karim could barely breathe. "Then why were you together at that hotel? What about the house?" "The hotel was holding a private auction," Idriss answered. "Aisha was selling the jewelry she inherited from her mother. I sold the land my father left me. We were trying to raise enough money for her operation." Karim stared at him in disbelief. "And the house? She wasn't buying it. She was selling it." Idriss handed him another document. The house had belonged to Aisha since her grandmother passed away. She planned to use part of the money for her operation, Idriss continued. With whatever remained, she wanted to buy a proper garage and put it in your name. That was the surprise she had been preparing. Karim collapsed onto a nearby chair. Everything he had interpreted as betrayal had actually been sacrifice. But the situation was not over. "Even after selling everything," Idriss said, "we're still $20,000 short." Karim entered Aisha's hospital room. She looked pale and weak, surrounded by medical equipment. When she opened her eyes and saw him, a tear rolled down her cheek. Karim sat beside her and held her hand. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have listened to you." Aisha turned her face away. "What hurt me most wasn't the accusation," she said weakly. "It was that you told everyone I betrayed you before trying to discover the truth." She was right. In only a few days, Karim had destroyed the reputation she had spent years building. That evening, Karim recorded a public video. He admitted his mistake, defended his wife and revealed the sacrifices Aisha and Idriss had made. He apologized to both of them and asked people to help save Aisha's life. The video went viral. Thousands of strangers shared their story. People from around the world began sending small donations. In less than 48 hours, they raised enough money for the operation. The surgery lasted 6 long hours. Karim and Idriss waited together in the hospital corridor. Neither man spoke until the surgeon finally emerged with a smile. The operation was successful. Aisha is going to survive. Karim burst into tears and embraced his friend. Several months later, Aisha recovered and opened the automobile garage Karim had always dreamed of owning. She had only one condition. Idriss would become his business partner. During the grand opening, Karim addressed their friends and families. "I almost lost my wife and my brother because I believed my suspicions instead of allowing them to explain. Something may look like betrayal while hiding the greatest sacrifice anyone has ever made for you." Aisha approached Karim and held out her wedding ring. "This time, promise me that you will search for the truth before judging me." Karim gently placed the ring back on her finger. "I promise." But at the back of the room, a mysterious woman was watching Idriss. When he noticed her, his smile disappeared. Seconds later, he received a message. "Now that Aisha is safe, it's time to tell Karim why you really sold your land." Idriss immediately locked his phone. Karim and Aisha's story might have reached its happy ending, but Idriss's greatest secret was only beginning to surface. Do you believe Aisha should have forgiven Karim after he accused and publicly humiliated her?